Hello, everybody, and welcome to my section of the Gamers Bootcamp. My name is Ashley, aka MiDNiTE, Ashley MiDNiTE Glassel. I want to give firstly a big shout out to the Gamers for having me and allowing me to speak here today. I think initiatives like this are extremely important and valuable for women in our community and just the growing esports community and in general. Today, my topic for discussion, I guess you could say, is definitely basically the life that I've lived, right? Content creators and general organizational strategy as it relates to that. So in this talk, you're going to hear me kind of give a little bit of background on myself, how I got here, and my perspective throughout that. You're going to hear me talking a lot about content creators, the value that they bring to an organization, and some of the things you can kind of expect from that kind of vertical within esports, or at least what I expect to kind of see, and then just how creators and esports organizations, or even just general organizations, companies in the space can work with creators and leverage their brands, leverage their message really with creators. So like I said, thank you so much to the Gamers for having me here today. Currently, right now, I am the director of content over at Version 1. So I'm here at our Version 1 offices in Eagan, Minnesota. Feeling really extremely blessed and excited to be here each day. And yeah, let's just get into it. So I wanted to, also one thing too, I will give time at the end for Q&A if there are any questions. I'm always happy to kind of bounce back and forth and go deeper on anything if needed. So definitely think of some questions as we go if you have any. So I wanted to give a little bit of background on myself. I've been working in esports for over 12 years now. I've just been saying 10 years once I hit the decade mark, but it's been just about 12 years now that I've been working in esports. But what does that actually mean? I think it's not as simple as it's not as developed as a scene or industry yet as some. So working for 10 years in esports may not mean the same thing as I've been working in traditional sports for 10 years. So I got my start as a content creator in 2010. I joined Optic Gaming. Some of you guys might know that organization. They're a content and entertainment first organization, but they also have really kick-ass teams. I think their Valorant team just won the latest huge major tournament that Valorant put on, which is really cool, the big VCT tournament. But I was a part of that organization before they even had esports teams. Before we were still super new, super grassroots, and our focus was content creation. In 2010, you guys might, if you can remember what YouTube was like, it was way different than it is today. And I was searching one day. I was playing Call of Duty. I was pretty regularly a gamer. I've been gaming since I was 5 years old, just extremely excited, enthusiastic about gaming. I purchased Call of Duty like the year before. It was my first actual first person shooter. My whole life, I had never really gotten into first person shooters, so that was new for me. And I was really passionate about it. And so I was looking up, videos for it, information about the new game. And I found on YouTube, there were people uploading their gameplay of Call of Duty to the internet. And that was just crazy to me back then, right? This wasn't that long ago, but also it was long enough ago to be playing on a tube TV and having my little RCA cables hooking up my gaming stuff. It was kind of old school a little bit. So I discovered other people uploading stuff to YouTube. I decided that I wanted to do that. I thought that I was good enough at the game. I thought that I could prove valuable and maybe start to grow my own channel and grow a fan base. And as a woman at that time, I felt really isolated. I felt like it was tough because I just literally didn't see anyone else doing that. There were not that many people uploading Call of Duty videos to YouTube, period. And I'd not seen a woman doing it yet. But my thought was, if these guys could do it, I could do it. If this person's doing that, I could do it, right? And so that's kind of been my thought process the whole time as I've been able to level up here in life, is the inspiration I take from others is their actions, and following through with that is something that I'm really passionate about. So long story long, started uploading to YouTube, and got a little bit of momentum with my friend group. They thought I was good. They said, "Yo, you should upload your stuff to YouTube." I got a little lucky, couple lucky bumps along the way, and I landed on Optic Gaming on their team to be a part of their women's team initiative at the time. That didn't end up working out, and I ended up staying on as a content creator. So that meant I got to play video games, upload my perspective with my voice over them. I was building a community around that, and it was just a really, really exciting time. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people realize now about content creators is it's all about the community that they're building around themselves and how we're able to kind of actually push that and propel the whole industry forward, with that kind of community building. And so that was something that I at the time didn't really know what that I was doing that, but it was really rewarding to see, grand scale after I'd kind of gotten to that point, seeing what I'd actually been working towards here. So being a part of Optic Gaming, I was a part of them for 9 years. I was mainly focused on content creation. Over those 9 years, we went from just a content team that uploaded, Call of Duty sniper videos to the YouTube to having, multiple esports teams, multiple championship wins. I did mention that they're kind of like an entertainment or content first organization, but winning is still extremely important and a huge value that they bring to the esports scene. But the reason that I think Optic is so special and why I felt so great to be a part of them for such a long period of time was, we were able to relate the players to the fans through content. And that's one of the things that everyone wants to do it, but it's not as easy to do as you would think. And so once you start putting the work into that and focusing on that, you're going to see, the good results that you're kind of looking for. So I did that for a long time, content creation. I started Twitch streaming. That was something that I found really, really rewarding. Not only could I support myself to try to do what I was, wanting to do what I was passionate about, but I was building a community that, was coming back every day. Like I would see the same person in the chat, and it's almost like a check-in, with that person. You see those same names showing up, and you start to really build like a bond. I know it sounds silly, but you're building a bond, through the screen with these people. So at the time, I started that in 2013. It was still very new. I think we all know and we see successful Twitch streamers now, and we're like, oh yeah, that's what that is. But I was fortunate enough to be able to see it from the inception and from the onset, which has been really, really cool. Seeing how creators are building their communities, learning with their communities, living, in a weird way with their communities. There's so many different types of streams now that you can do in ways that you could relate to one another, that I think it's really, really amazing to have that. And so why I think it's important for organizations to tap into that is something that it can't be understated, right? Like these are people who are genuinely, wanting to do what they're doing. They're building genuine connection. And when you can bring that onto an organization and have that person kind of almost, I mean, we all know like what, it's like to be a brand ambassador and what that means, that relationship. But it's a lot more than that. If you can get the buy-in from the content creators on the organization that you have and what you're trying to do, they're going to be able to influence and, bring their community kind of into yours, if that makes sense. So one thing that we've actually done here at version 1, well, I guess I'll keep going on my trajectory and we'll get to that. But so I was a content creator for 9 years. I knew that I loved to do it, but I knew that I didn't want to do it forever, right? I wanted to evolve. And the interesting thing about it is there's really no like historical moment or person to kind of look at and say, oh yeah, if you do this, then you could do that, right? Like it's such a new embodied industry, and going from being a content creator who streams on Twitch every day to now, you're wanting to evolve, but you're not really sure what that looks like. Because with Twitch, it's bigger, better, more community, bigger viewer numbers, better brand deals. Like those things are awesome, but that wasn't my primary motivation for wanting to stay doing that. And so I was able to get incredibly fortunate, along the way, kind of like back in 2010 when I got an optic, couple lucky bumps along the way, and you got to be ready for them and take advantage of them. But I was actually planning to leave optic because so that's a very long story. Why the optic content creator team at the time dissolved, but I was set to leave optic. I knew I was going to, and so I moved back home to Minnesota. That's where I'm originally from. And within a month of me moving back home, it got announced that Gary Vee, who's a minority owner team, and the Will family, who owns the Minnesota Vikings, are purchasing a Call of Duty League slot to represent Minnesota. And just a couple things about me. I'm a massive Vikings fan. I'm a lifelong Minnesotan. There was a couple year stint in Texas there, but I knew I wanted to be home. And I heard about that, and I said, I have got to work with these folks. I've got to do it. I got lucky with timing, cod timing, as the kids say, but I was ready to take the next step in my career and evolve. And, I saw this as a great opportunity to do that. And so I was brought on. I was actually the second employee on the team. I helped build our original Call of Duty Rocker Call of Duty roster, which was really, really fun and rewarding. But it's a whirlwind, right? Like, you have these newer organizations or big companies, or even organizations that have been around for a while, right? They're trying to come into esports, and they have a lot of know-how and infrastructure they can offer, but they maybe don't know like what esports is all about. How do you properly leverage these things? How do you make sure that you're building this thing the right way? Because that's what's really, really important. There have been multiple times actually that I've seen, big investment come into the space, and they're not really sure what they're doing, and they're getting, inconsistent or poor results, right? Out of fan base, player, team building, everything. And so I really wanted to make sure that, that I aligned myself with good ownership and supportive ownership. And I most definitely did. I got a little lucky there too. I think ownership is great here at this company. And so that made it really easy to say, okay, you guys are, you're open, you know that you don't have all the answers to esports. Let me help you out. Let me teach you, the ins and outs of this thing. So helped build the initial Call of Duty roster, have launched or helped launch, three brands within our company, the Minnesota Rocker team, our version 1 Rocket League team, version 1 Valorant, as well as version X, our all women's Valorant team, actually. So that's been extremely rewarding for me to go into that. But it wasn't an easy jump going from being a content creator who, had fun days. I'd wake up, I'd live stream, I'd talk to my community, I'd build my community. I did a lot of great, cool things, got a lot of cool opportunities from doing that, got to travel. It was awesome. But this was a different type of rewarding moment for me, or I guess time, that it was just so cool to be able to jump, and with the determination that you have to have a lot of determination as a content creator to want to build yourself and build towards yourself, work for yourself. You have to motivate yourself. There's nobody who's there saying, hey, go do this. Hey, you got to do that. Like, make sure you're on time for this. Stream at least this amount of time. Have this as a goal. Like, it's all yourself starting, motivating, and everything. And so I took that same mindset into my new position here, and I was able to, hopefully, I think I've done an okay job so far, at the least. So it's been something that I've been really passionate about, and now I have I think a really, really interesting perspective from being a content creator and knowing what are the needs there, what are things that are great about that, what are things that aren't great about that. I now have the organizational experience, so I know like what is an organization's actual goals, how do you go about getting those, implementing things to get yourself to where you want to be. And so I feel like I'm in a really unique position to try to utilize content creators to fulfill organizational goals, and from the content creator's point of view, utilize an organization to achieve, their personal goals. And so there's a lot. It's almost a case by case basis, but I'd love to talk about, what are some ways that you can do that. Traditionally, when you have let's like use sponsorship as an example. When you have a sponsor or a brand come in, and you're you're saying, hey, hey streamer, we'll give you X amount of dollars and you put this in your title and this on your graphics, and it's very transactional, right? You come, and that's okay, right? There's definitely like times and places where those activations and that can work. But what you really got to do, especially from an organization, I'm really kind of like, that's a sponsor, like transactional example. But what you really want to do as an organization is not that. You don't just want to say, hey, you're on our roster now, put version 1 in your name. We're going to put our logo on your stream and we'll call it a day, right? You really want to build together, and there are a few different ways that you can do that. From my perspective, you most definitely want to make sure that you're connecting with organic content. So a content creator's main priority, and this is totally okay, is going to be themselves, their channel, their growth, right? I think that is the right way to look at it. If you're a content creator, you're trying to sustain this career and achieve your goals. But the way that you do that well and help yourself with an organization is through the organic content that you can create together, the innate collaboration that you're going to get out of that, and how you're able to kind of pair those things together. Although it might seem at times like, oh, well, if I take 3 hours to go shoot this video with MiDNiTE over at version 1, that's less time that I could stream. But what you got to look at is that there's valuable time there that you're spending. Not only are you working with a production team, you're working with, I guess you could say like assets or things that you don't quite have at your disposal. You're getting that with an organization and you're able to build something together. One thing that I really liked about being in Optic at the time was I felt like I was a part of something bigger than myself, which is always something I've been, really, really motivated by. I think building is fun. I think, like, yes, it's fun to build my own career and my own goals and achieve those. But I think it's, the most awesome to be a part of something that's a little bit bigger and to work as a team. And so other than those things, right, or like organic content, right, like you're going to get exposed to the organization's fans and vice versa. The creators' fans are getting exposure to the organization and building a relationship and a community there. You also get infrastructure. So for example, if you say, hey, I've always wanted to do a podcast, but I don't know how to do that. I don't have like the people to help me do that. It just feels like a mountain and I don't want to climb that. That's where an organization can kind of help you out, and it kind of feeds back into the organic content idea. Or if you say, hey, I really want to do like an event, I want to have my own Warzone tournament. How do I do that? That's something where an organization can kind of help you out. Instead of having to try to partner or find and source these things on your own, the organization can kind of help you develop that, help you brand it, help you sell it. Like there's a lot of value there. And so I think that's something, although content creation can sometimes feel like you're siloed there, right? Like it's just you're in your room, you're talking to your computer, you look like you're talking to yourself if somebody walks by. Like there's more there, right? And that's where the collaboration with an organization, I think, comes in pretty sound. So one thing, so I kind of went over, how I started, 9-year history of content creation, talking about, joining version 1 and how that's has been really cool, and the general kind of content creator to organizational strategy. But I'd also like to talk about acquisition. So one thing that we actually did within the last, it's just been over a year now, because we just signed our first creator like a year and a week ago. But in the last year, we'll say, we've gone from 0 content creators here at version 1 to 6. And that was a really important initiative for us. It's obviously something that I always knew we wanted to add to the team. Since I was a second employee here, I've watched us expand teams. I've watched us, over time expanding slowly into other things that we see as having value and could be beneficial for both sides, right? You're funding a team to go live their dream. The team is bringing you wins. The organization's winning. That's great. But I knew content creators were something that we wanted to be a part of that. And there was a ton of strategy and thought that went into that. And I will say, as a new org, it's tough. It's not easy. Like, yes, luckily we're a part of a great organization that has, you know, I think we have a lot of real, I don't want to call it street cred, but just like we have credibility, right? Like we're not like some crazy VC funded company that came out of nowhere and in a year will be gone. Like the ownership, the investment is there and it's long term. And so I think the infrastructure we're able to build around that, you know, is appealing to people, but at the same time, we're version 1. We're literally new. We just got here. Like we have a new Twitter that was made, you know, probably like way after I even made this stream. Is one of my streams from back in the day that's on. And so we're fresh, right? And that can be, it's difficult, I think, for brands to notice that, like other brands to take you seriously. It's difficult for content creators and players to be like, who are these people? But one thing that's been really interesting about that is we've been able to, over time, you know, build that rep with ourselves, or with our community, sorry, and show like we're here, we do this, we do cool shit, and we're trying to, you know, we're trying to build a fan base one fan at a time and really bring this up. So, but to go back to the original point, when we started looking at content creators, we knew that because we were new, like we're not like phase. People aren't going to just join us for the instant notoriety, right? We have to provide value. And that was one of the things that, you know, led us to finding some of the great talent that we have. Our first signing was Autumn Rhodes. She's a content creator. She mainly does Twitch, but she also does TikTok. She's big in Grand Theft Auto RP. She's an absolute sweetheart. She's so nice. And she is just the perfect she was the perfect first person to kind of get on the team with us, because she was able to just blend right in, right? Like some creators, to the points I was making earlier, you know, they may just want to stream and leave me alone. I just want to stream, put your logo on my screen and whatever. Others are like, I want to do stuff with you. I want to do a podcast. I want to come out and shoot cool videos and do photo shoots and all that stuff. Like I want to be a part of a team. I want to collaborate. And so that's why that was the value add for Autumn. And I would say for the 5 creators we got after, you know, it's the same kind of thing. One thing that was interesting, I would say Autumn was, especially at the time, like the largest streamer that or content creator that we were looking at and that we ended up onboarding. Another example of maybe a smaller creator that we picked up at the time is Chrissy. So Chrissy's mainly a Rocket League streamer. She's usually, you know, playing Rocket League, streaming it, making TikToks about Rocket League, all that stuff. And she was another person that, you know, we looked at. I think she was averaging like 60 or 80 viewers at the time. I think maybe even 40 when we first discovered her channel. And sometimes it's not about the view count that the creator's getting. It's really about how do they operate? You know, what's their intention? What are they doing this for? What's the intention? And how do they work through that, right? How are they presenting themselves? Are they brand safe? Are they not? You know, there's so many different kinds of angles creators can take with their brand and who they are, that it's not necessarily that if you don't see a creator as a fit for you, it doesn't mean they're not a fit for another organization and all, and etc.
Hello, I am back. I am so sorry, everyone. My worst fear was just realized my computer completely froze during my presentation. It never does that, but I was hooked up to like a new webcam. I don't know what happened, but either way, I'm back. We're doing it the scrappy way with the phone, which is just fine. But yeah, please production remind me how much longer I have, and I can kind of take some questions here, you know, before I go. So I did. Oh, I'm back. We're back. The chat says I'm back. Let's go. Thank you guys. I did see a couple questions before my computer froze. But I don't think I remember. I think I did try to take a picture of them. I hope this doesn't take me off. Let me look at the questions. Okay, hold on. I got a question. I believe it was from Last Fantasy. How did I balance wearing different hats? Was that the question? That's one thing that you most definitely do when you're working in a startup. And obviously, you know, like I said, fortunate to have great ownership and great support in our startup. So it's not like we're, you know, starting up in a basement here, although sometimes it felt like that with the grind that we were doing. But, you know, while you're in that startup mode, you do have to wear a lot of different hats. And being that I was a second employee here, you know, I started as the lead everything, the lead social media manager, the lead, you know, the director of content, the general manager for the team, the manager for the team to make sure they had what they needed, the head of marketing. Like I was the head of everything. And then as new people kind of come on, you know, you start to be able to take off those hats, and you know, other people who are, that is literally their job to do, they come in and crush it, and that's always been super rewarding to see and be a part of. Me particularly, how did I deal with that is I'm the type of person where I kind of thrive in those kind of higher pressure situations, or situations that require me to learn quickly. I do have many faults, but I think one of the strengths that I have is that I'm able to learn quick and adapt. And that's something that you most definitely need to be able to do if you're going to work in a startup, and even in some points in esports, because you are wearing many different hats at a time. One thing that always helped me through that was just pure sheer determination, right? Like I was super determined to be my best, bring my best to the team, you know, make sure that I'm adding value each and every day here. And that's one of the things that, you know, I was able to kind of do in wearing many different hats. Was I was not only determined to do the things, but also to learn. That's one of the things, you know, in evolving out of content creation into kind of more the organizational or corporate side, I most definitely wanted to learn and apply myself. And so that's, if I could give some advice, it would be, you know, be proud to wear the different hats, be happy when you're able to take those hats off and hand them to others. But, you know, make sure that you're attentive to your duties, learn, and be determined. And that's something I would recommend as well. So 5 minutes. All right, cool. We got 5 minutes here before we go. We back. Yo, I was happy to see everyone happy when I came back. I just took a look at another. I took pictures of the chat before I left, so I saw another question. You know, what advice would you give to someone that started an esports organization? It's a little bit in line with what I just talked about. It's, you know, making sure that understand that there's a lot more, you know, shades or dimensions to this than you might anticipate, but also being open to that is a good thing, right? Starting off and knowing that it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of work, but it also is going to be a lot of fun and really rewarding. I think the number one advice I would give is pay attention to the details. Those are the things that the players that you bring on, the potential creators you bring on, and the staff that you bring on, that's what's going to get you guys kind of all on the same page, and will give you equal respect to one another. When people know that the details are there, their needs are met, they're happy to work and play for you. And I think that's one thing too, that's kind of a general attitude thing. And then I think a tangible thing that you could do to help out your esports organization is create content. I know I'm very biased because I'm the director of content and I see a lot of value there, but you know, making sure that your players have what they need to succeed, you know, on the battlefield in a way, but also making sure that you're bringing them together for content, for good vibes. You know, that's going to translate to the content that you create and the hopefully the fan base that you start to build out of that. So guys, I think I only have a couple more minutes here before I go. Hopefully this went well. I don't know. Give me a review for sure. I'm always down for constructive criticism. I am bummed that my computer died halfway through, or just over halfway through, but hey, we were able to get scrappy with it, pick up the phone, and still make sure that I could close it out here with you guys, which was awesome. So, all right. Looks like we're gonna finish this up here. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I really do, and thank you again to the Gamehers for having me.